Anthony Hartwig here with another segment of what we are calling Living the Dream here on YSN. We are joined by someone that Youngstown State fans probably pretty familiar with, especially the last two seasons of softball. Sara Fessler joins us now, a professional softball player, living it up in the WPF in Austin, Texas. Sara, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
All these great things are happening, but we want to start with the start of your journey, going back into your memory banks and talking about picking up softball and when you fell in love with it and how you got into the sport.
So basically, I mean, if we're gonna throw it all the way back, we're gonna go back to my dad playing like slow pitch softball, and he always was bringing me to his games, and all I wanted to do after that was be like, Dad, let's go outside, let's play catch, and I'm sure he had just about had it, so he's like, we need to get her on a team for sure. And then honestly, just playing travel ball through the summer, a couple different teams throughout Northeast Ohio, a lot of tournament ball down in Columbus, and I kept kind of local tournaments, so. I wasn't going anywhere crazy. And when I started my college journey, I committed to Ursuline College. It's a Division II in Cleveland. So again, staying close to home. And then did 3 years. So I had my COVID year, my freshman year, and then did 3 years at Ursuline. Ended up wanting to play at the next level because I knew that eventually, like, I did want to play at the professional level if I was given the opportunity. So Division I was where I wanted to be at for that. And again, still wanted to stay close to home, wanted a great experience for not only like my academic goals, but also like softball and just getting to see something different besides Cleveland. So contacted Brian Campbell and Sarah Zillis, my two head coaches. And, we got on campus, took a tour, and the rest honestly was history. It was really cool to get on a campus where we are the only school probably in the United States that are penguins. But that was awesome, and I will say till literally the day I die, like go Gwins. It's so fun to say that. So yeah, honestly, that's my little softball journey as far as where I come from, where I was at. So yeah.
When we talk about the start of it and you getting into it, what were some things that led you to taking it from this is softball for fun and then all of a sudden this is softball that I wanted to dive into, spend time with, and get myself into a college for softball?
So since I was young, I played a lot of different sports. I played volleyball, basketball, obviously softball, and then there came a time in high school where it was like, so you kind of have to commit to one of these sports, because if I just thought, I want to go to college. I'm a first gen, so I was like, I definitely want to like hone in on my craft. So I said, okay, let's do softball. And honestly, after that, like I just put in the work. I was always dragging my dad places for practices. I can't even imagine now looking at it from like a giving lessons standpoint or even like being like a coach for a travel ball team, how many hours parents themselves put in is insane. But regardless, definitely when I was probably going into middle school, I thought, okay, yeah, no, I'm ready. I'm ready to go college route. I want to play at the next level. And honestly, ever since that, I was just like, how can I reach, my highest potential?
This class of 24 that you're in, the recruiting is a little bit different than the kids that are going through it now. I mean, you were able to, if you wanted to, commit at a much earlier age than the kids that can now. So, going into middle school, going to high school, what was it like navigating the recruitment waters at even that early of an age?
Yeah, so me and my dad actually talk about this all the time. I really didn't have the access to recruiting organizations, much like a lot of the girls maybe that went bigger, played at an SEC school, an ACC
Mhm.
school. I really stayed local, and I had great like coaches along the way that helps me, basically network with me. My recruiting process didn't start till probably like end of my sophomore year in high school. So when junior year happened, that's when everyone was, I think that was the last year that people could commit really early, like 8 years old type of thing. I could be wrong, but that's probably around the time. And my junior year in November, after a couple schools had seen me throughout the summer, I decided to commit to Ursuline. And it was a really easy process for me. Obviously, like I said, didn't have a ton of options. Because again, like first gen, my dad didn't know anything about college. Like he's super successful himself in his career, but this is just like totally new waters for me and my family, but we made the best of it. And going the Division 2 route was again like the best experience for myself as a player, because I knew that coming in, like I wanted to go somewhere I was going to play and I was going to get a good experience academically too. So that was the best route for me. And then I was able to move up because I built my skills at the Division 2 level. I became a starter. You know, I had the classes and basically the experience of what it's like to be a college athlete. Yeah.
So you go from high school to college and you make that commitment. What was it about Ursuline that made you want to call that home? What was it that made you fall in love with that particular program?
Ursuline's a very small school. I came from a high school that was private and all girls school, and Ursuline was much less the same. Funny enough, it's a nursing school predominantly, but they had a great business program, and it was an all girls campus. It was close to home, 30 minutes, and their team was in a GMAC, so it was like Walsh University, Tiffin, Findlay, a great like Ohio, Indiana region type of schools. And the campus itself was in a great area, and I was like, I can be home but also away from home at the same time, so it was a perfect distance. And the coaching staff was great. I was coached under Susan Woodford, and she just kind of held my hand along the way, really put me into this leadership role on the team that was it was different for me. You know, leading in high school is a lot different than leading in college, especially coming in as a freshman. Being a starter, you know, you have to really like gel with the girls quickly if you're going to be in that starting nine. And the team itself, we bonded very well. So it overall, that those 3 years there, I would do it all over again.
What was your welcome to college softball moment where you realized very quickly that you weren't in high school anymore and it was a different thing, right?
So that is so funny. And actually, I just get chills thinking about this. My first ever weekend out. So Ursuline always traveled to the Tampa, Lakeland, Florida area for our preseason. And I remember you know, all of us as freshmen were standing in the dugout, and our coach is like, all right, we need a pinch hitter. And I'm like, okay, like, who's she gonna call on? She calls on me. And I get up there in Tampa University. They always go to regionals. They're a very good, like, regionally ranked team. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, okay. So this little baby freshman, you know, has probably never lifted weights before. And like, it's crazy to think about. I get up to bat and I get my first single through the 5-6 hole. And I'm like, wow. And I'm shaking on first base. And my assistant coach is like, you did great. I was like, I know, but this is crazy. Like, this is not high school anymore.
First at bat, first hit. That's how you do it, right?
I'm saying there's no other way to do it. I'm saying. And then, you know, after that entire tournament, I ended up getting into the lineup, and the rest is history. So that was great. It was great for me.
College, I'm sure, brought also some more failure than you were used to in high school. I know when you hit like 700 as a career in high school, what kind of
Yeah.
things did you do to deal with a little like the raise of the level in college and trying to understand that you're probably not going to go there and hit 700? You're going to have to deal with some more failure than you're used to. How did you handle all that?
So yeah, nothing like high school for sure. And you know, it's hard too because people are scouting you. They're looking at, you know, past games once you start actually playing in the conference and everything. Um, it was a lot of mental game. And I didn't obviously I'm playing softball and I'm having fun, but the mental aspect is so important. So I started working with sports psychs and just kind of playing loose, always playing loose, kind of going back to like basics. If I was not like getting the best at bats, or if I'm not getting on every time, going up there and pretending I'm hitting front toss is seriously like what I would tell myself. And I had the best junior year of my life at Ursuline because that's literally my mindset. And obviously I couldn't do that every year. Um, I just didn't really think too much into stats because if I did, I knew that that would affect my playing. It would make me think too much.
How strong of a mental player do you think you were going into college? Do you think you were already kind of set in the mental aspect that you needed, or do you think when you started college, like you had to really change your mental approach to deal with, like you said, the mental game of college softball?
I definitely think that I had to change my approach. I didn't think I really had any approach. I didn't really know anything about it. I showed up to the field and I was like, okay, let's play. And that's never a bad way to play. But that's also when I was seeing success of batting 700 in high school. So um, I definitely had to work on that, and not overthink it. So yes, the mental game aspect is so important. You know, you really want to be ready to encounter failure, or if you don't put a bunt down in a really big situation, like being able to be like, hey, it's okay, like you're gonna get the next one. I just think that don't overthink it, because sometimes that could also hurt you if there's too much mental preparation. Sometimes you just gotta put on your cleats and play.
Senior year comes around, you get the chance to go to YSU. You have 2 years of eligibility. You spend 2 years here in Youngstown. Talk about first the decision to go to Youngstown State and how that came about and why you picked YSU and Brian Campbell and this program, and then what it was like to kind of transition from D2 to D1, and what are the changes that you saw in that softball.
So, like I said before, when I was looking to transfer, I wanted to stay close to home. And I had told myself after I started at Urson, I was like, I know that I want to play at a higher level, but I need the experience first. And so my dad was like, okay, do it. You got this. And basically, Campbell took a risk on a D2 kid as a transfer student. I mean, a lot of Division 1s, I'm not sure, like would look in the transfer portal for a Division 2 transfer. I mean, I'm not really sure, but they probably would want somebody that's already at that level. So he definitely took a chance on me. And obviously he doesn't know me, so I had to go in there and grind and work. And I ended up seeing myself in the lineup a lot throughout the fall season, but still what really wasn't sure. What really like sold me on the school was the facilities. I mean, we look at Youngstown State and the Penguins like athletic program is like their Cleveland Browns from Cleveland. Like I swear to God, everyone's like roll wins. And I love that. I do. It's something I've never experienced before, because Cleveland is such a big city. So I thought that was really cool. And not to mention their penguin fire hydrants. I thought was really funny. But back to the softball aspect, the way he runs his program, like he was pretty. Campbell told me he's pretty cut and dry. Like, you just get in there and work, and we'll get you a position. I came in as a utility, and I found myself a little bit at shortstop, which is where I played at Ursula, and then it just made sense for me to play second base. I played second base when I was young, and that's where I started in the infield. So, yeah, I just kind of meshed into there, and then got into the leadoff spot, which I've pretty much batted in most of my career. So it was pretty comfortable for me.
One thing, if you follow Youngstown State softball on social media or you follow any of the players, like this team knows how to have fun. Like you guys stay loose, you
Yes.
guys have fun with each other. What's it like to be in a team atmosphere like that in the college level, where you can get so caught up in the pressures of college and pressures of trying to go out there and succeed at that level where it's D1, and it's almost even more of a job than the other divisions are. How were you guys able to stay so loose and have so much fun with it?
Honestly, I think us being just such a I don't an inexperienced team playing with each other. They had some girls that were successful. They were in the 2021 team. I think like one or two girls. Really, it was just me and Conchetta, fifth years, that had like 5 years of college experience, and then we had some seniors on the team. But a lot of it was our joking and like fun loving atmosphere. A lot of it had to do with like our social media presence. So we were always doing funny hashtags on our game day posts, or we're chirping in the dugout and we're yelling and we're just cheering each other on, because we had such a competitive spirit individually that at practices we are making sure that we're getting the job done. Okay, we're making adjustments quickly, and so that it translated for us on the field when we actually like competed in games. So yeah, it was pretty easy to just mesh together and just do our thing on and off the field.
The softball cliche is it's a game of failure, right? And Youngstown State didn't get their storybook in that they can write. You can't write the results. As a senior in your last year, what was it like to kind of have to put that in a box and just say, okay, I have to take what I can from the season, even though it didn't end exactly the way we wanted to, and still take everything that I can from it, and then move on to the next chapter, which we're going to talk about here next.
Obviously we wanted to win our conference tournament. That's always our goal. But we were really happy with how we ended our season, with it being our regular season conference champions. That was our goal, going into fall season even. We said, what do we want to be as a team? We want to be a family and we want to be competitive. And how are we going to get there? And weekly we would go over our coaches would ask us, okay, what's your goal for the week? How do we want to look at practice? And then when we got into season, they'd ask us the same questions, and we would check in every Monday, and to see if we got there or not. And then if you said yes, great, keep working on that. If you said no, how can you fix that? And really, like those weekly check-ins, or maybe like every 2 week check-ins, that's how we were able to get the success that we wanted and get that conference ring. And we always said, we were like, it's going to be this team this year. It's going to be us. And we were excited that it was us. And we were excited to host that tournament. Because even last season, my senior season, not my fifth year season, um, we were just making it into the tournament. Though we didn't host, we did extremely well. And we just knew that we were going to play right off of that, ending in the conference tournament into this year. So we were definitely hungry for a ring.
And now you go from that into the WPF, Women's Professional Fast Pitch, and talk about that opportunity, how it came about, and how you were able to just seize it and go out there and play for the Monarchs.
So honestly, I can't even take like credit. I think this is so like the universe and God's doing, I swear. But a lot of it had to do with after season, I knew that I just wanted an opportunity. I wanted to reach somebody so that I could just play professionally. I know they're trying to build women's sports and they're trying to build a WPF league. And funny enough, I'm sitting there one day and I see that there's WPF tryouts and they're looking to draft girls on because there was already a collegiate draft. They're looking to draft girls from a tryout because there's a couple new teams in the league. And so I'm like, okay, well, I guess we're doing it. So you basically had to apply, go to this tryout at Jackie Robinson in Vero Beach, which is basically a training facility for baseball and softball. They've built it up throughout the years. And funny enough, I've been there before for a World Series tournament with RBI. I don't know if you're familiar. It's basically like a program ran by MLB teams, and it's travel ball teams. So it's like a little league World Series, but it's RBI. And so I've been there before and I was like, okay, like it's all making a full circle here. And so we go there, it's a 2 day tryout, and I got the call from Alex Powers, and the rest is here I am. I'm in Austin for spring training and season, and it's unbelievable. But when I got here, so cool to mesh with the girls that played at different levels than me and played in different conferences. So yeah.
Talk about getting a call from Alex Powers and how cool that was. I mean, we're talking about someone that
Oh.
has, all the softball cachet in the world, has her own, ACC softball podcast, all the fun stuff, played it and had a great career. What was it like to get a call from her and be like, yeah, we got you?
Yeah, one, that woman is amazing and she does the most for Texas Monarchs and WPF as a whole. So kudos to her all day. And we're, as a team, we are so grateful for her. But sitting in a hotel, waiting after a day of practice where it wasn't my best at spring training, was not my best. I'm waiting for a call from her and I get that and I swear I'm just like, okay, this is it. This is it. And just how exciting it was for her to say, like, Sarah, we would just love to have you. And I'm thinking Alex Powers wants me. Like, oh my gosh, like okay, let's do this. And our coach Candace and coach I call him Coach Gunna, but it's Tyler. Um they say, you're already a part of this team. It just makes sense. Because just the way that we meshed so well at spring training. So they decided to fully contract me after spring training. It was honestly surreal. And I just like was sitting there trying to be present. Like I have reached every goal that I basically made for myself. And I think that that is so telling for a young athlete or a young softball player that they make these goals for themselves. And it's like, you can do it. Just literally set your mind to that and work for it.
We talk about this league and this team that you're on. One, the team you're on, the roster is stacked. Like the Monarchs team is stacked.
Yes.
And then the league around you is also just ridiculously stacked. What's it like to all of a sudden be in a room or be in a field where you look around and you see players that have played in the College World Series, have played at Oklahoma City, have played at the Blue Bloods of these programs, and try to pick their brain, I'm sure, try to learn everything you can from them? What's that been like for you?
I've definitely realized that moving from Division 2 to Division 1, the speed of the game is different. Moving from Division 1, okay, mid-major, to now playing professionally, that is a whole different level of gameplay. The game's fast, and also we have to think about how am I going to make adjustments when I'm playing infield? How am I going to make adjustments when I'm playing outfield? Because, the time and the speed is just different. You can't expect to turn a double play when you're playing at normal positions that maybe I would have in college versus now professionally. So picking brains of infielders that have played at a faster level is definitely interesting. But honestly, like you put everybody on a pedestal, and as they should, they're great. They achieved such high things. But at the end of the day, like we're all just playing softball. We're all playing the same game. And it's honestly it's awesome. I would not trade this experience for the world.
Did it take any time at all to kind of, I don't want to say take them off the pedestal, but go from looking up and then okay, we're teammates, we're good, we're in the same room, we're all, I don't need to, you know, act like you're, a celebrity that I'm meeting for the first time anymore.
I don't really think there was any thought in my mind about that. It was more so that, Alex kept reminding me, you belong and remember that because I come from a mid major, I come from a Division 2 school. So just as Alex reminded me, I belong here. I put in the work just the same. It was seamless transition for sure.
Well, did the transition from D2 to D1, do you think it helped you ease the transition from now D1 to professional softball?
Yeah, I like to do this thing where I I want to put myself in uncomfortable situations, meaning a lot of change and like basically elevate myself as an individual and as a player. So I'm always going through, like a lot of changes. And so once I was able to like get over the transfer process from Division 2 to Division 1, I'm like, okay, if I can do this, I can 100% adjust to the professional life and everything that entails. Um it's just you got to set your mind to it, and I was able to do that.
What are the biggest changes in just the everyday life of a professional softball player compared to maybe the everyday life of a college softball player? Do you see yourself having to kind of train on your own more and not as much team structure and more of a like this is your job, you have to take care of that kind of stuff?
So definitely it's not as, for college softball, we had 20-hour weeks. We had however many hours for weights a week and practices a week. It's not like that here. We definitely are on our own. We need to make sure we're getting what we need individually for fitness wise. So making sure we're staying to a structured fitness routine. Practices, we're still practicing every day. We still have an off day. And then our schedule runs from Thursday to Sundays. I mean, you realize that this is truly your job now, and that's so exciting because like I am being paid, I am contracted as my job now to be a professional softball player, and that's awesome. But it's more so like, you're an adult and now you're also playing professionally, so you're on your own and you're taking care of yourself and what you need as an athlete.
Another thing I want to ask you, because you're in Austin, Texas now, you were in Ursuline, Youngstown, both close to home, like you said before, not close to home anymore. What's that been like to live on your own across the country?
Well, honestly, I will say that my dad probably still calls me 20 times a day, so we don't skip a beat on that. I'm still very close to family. Um, but it's different. I mean, it's 21 hours away from home. But I will say that this heat is different compared to even like a Florida heat. It's just different. And I don't think I've ever sweat like this in my life either. But I am happy that I'm finally playing in weather that I'm not freezing cold at the Youngstown State Stadium where, my hands are frozen. But living across the country is definitely an adjustment. But I definitely think it's important for if anyone has the opportunity, whether it's school or whatever it may be, a work job. Um, it's cool. It's definitely gonna grow myself as a person. So I'm here for it.
One of the things I want to ask before we go, now that you've gone through your college career, you're a professional, is there anything that after you were done with college that you look back and you say, I wish I knew this back when I started or when I stepped on campus? Like, I wish I knew that then that you know now?
Oh God, yeah. I would say this, my last season at Youngstown, I think mentally I struggled a lot because I put my season on a pedestal and I overthought every move I make, and I never got to the point where I could just play loose like when I first came into Youngstown and when I was at Ursuline. And I would tell any athlete that every season is just a new season to be yourself and perform. Like whatever is meant to happen is already written and it's already going to happen. So stressing about it is only going to hurt you at the end. I would definitely just play loose and just be yourself. Take it day by day. Because you're never going to get the time back. And I would rather spend my time having fun and maybe making a few mistakes than stressing about making mistakes.
Sarah, one of the things we do when we interview athletes, no matter what level they're playing on, professional, little league, high school, we always want to give them the chance to take the spotlight off themselves for a minute and shine it on the people that are in their support system, the people that are in their corner, gotten them to where they are. So I want to give you the time to give shout outs to those people and the people that you know that you wouldn't be where you are without.
That's really awesome. I obviously, first and foremost, I want to thank Alex Powers and the coaching staff at Texas Monarchs for giving me the opportunity. Seriously, this is a little girl's dream, and I'm getting to live that, and that's super exciting, and I'm forever grateful. I'm thankful for my dad. You know, him, like I said, always taking me to all those travel ball tournaments, making it possible for me to even play professionally, and like believing in me and being like, Sarah, if you set your mind to it, somehow you're gonna do it, and I've done it thus far and it's been great. So I appreciate him for believing in me. The rest of my family, Brian Campbell and Sarah Zillis, my coaches at Youngstown, I really appreciate them making me into the player that I've needed to be or I wanted to be at Ursuline. Just making sure that I'm making adjustments quickly and I'm not hard on myself, but I just hold myself to a standard where I just need to succeed. And lastly, I definitely want to thank one of my teammates, Conchetta Ronaldi from Youngstown. Great catcher. She was defensive player of the year, or co-defensive player of the year. One of the best teammates that I've had. Very supportive through a lot. And, I definitely have her in my corner as someone that supports me throughout. So definitely her as a teammate.
Sarah, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We appreciate it. We wish you the best of luck the rest of this WPF season and everything you do in the future. Hopefully, you're playing softball for a little bit longer.
Yep,
And
that's the plan.
we wish you the best of luck and all that. We love you here at Youngstown, and we thank you again for your time. We'll see you again real soon.
Yeah, thanks so much.